It's Press Pass with Jack Ebling, Mid-Michigan's spirited sports debate. Now let's get talking sports. Here's Jack.
Great evening, Mid-Michigan and beyond, and welcome to Press Pass here on Fox 47. Appreciate you sticking with us after Game 7 of the NLCS. It's time to meet Team 368. Darian Harris, 5-year MSU linebacker, co-captain of the 2015 Big Ten champions and college football playoff team, and the Spartans' first director of player engagement. Darian, does it seem like 5 years ago when you were named captain of the Michigan State team?
Yeah, it's starting to feel like that a little bit as I get a little bit up there in age. But no, just from the different things that I've done over the past 5 years, that I think is what's made it feel like not too long ago, but it definitely is starting to be that point. You know, we're halfway to a 10-year anniversary of winning the Big Ten championship, and we're a couple years away from celebrating a 10-year anniversary of winning the Rose Bowl. So great memories that I always like to go back to, and I really enjoyed everybody's stories on Twitter from where they were and what they were doing October 17th, 2015.
I remember it well. As far as being named a captain, that's going to be a tremendous honor for a couple Michigan State players, and they'll appreciate it even more as time goes by.
Absolutely.
Also want to welcome Graham Couch. He is sports and more columnist for the Lansing State Journal, and he is co-host of Couch and the Rube. That's weekdays from 1 to 3 on the Spotlight Radio Network, just ahead of The Drive with Jack. Graham, have you ever been 1 week away from the start of a Michigan State football season and known less about the team?
No, although I have had some really bad predictions in other years when I thought I've known something. So I don't know what that says about anything. So this year I feel better in saying I don't know anything. And I'll say this, I also remember October 17th, 2015, and the words that I used in the press box as Jalen Watts Jackson went into the end zone, I could not repeat on this show because I had to tear everything up for an instant column. And in that moment, you're not caring about how great a story it is or anything else going on. You're thinking about yourself, your column, your deadline, and I was dead set against everything that was happening on the field.
Well, we will talk a little bit more about that, and we will talk a lot more about Big Ten football 2020. But when we get started, we're going to be talking about the Detroit Lions and a stunning win today in Jacksonville. We'll talk about the college football scene, number 2 Alabama over number 3 Georgia. We'll look ahead to Michigan State football and basketball. And we'll talk about Major League Baseball and a couple of 7-game series. People say the sweetest words in sports. Game 7, probably the sweetest words are really world champions. We will be back with that and more, and also a look at the high school scene here in Mid-Michigan. We'll be right back. It's Press Pass on Fox 47.
We have been shaken to our core. Our lives changed in profound and unsettling ways. And it seems like it all happened in an instant. The virus has left us wondering, when will businesses reopen? How will we go back to work? Do we even want to go back to the way things were?
The way we were is what got us to where we are.
Emerging from this pandemic will take time, hope, and understanding. It will mean taking a closer look at why help that's been promised may not be arriving quite as it should.
There's no red flags flying showing why our workers are being delayed.
You'll see us shining a light on those determined to keep the economy running, even amid stormy seas. As we move forward, we'll be focusing on the rebound, our commitment to stories that will help you navigate these uncertain times.
They can't visit anybody and they can't go anywhere.
From what you'll need to know when it's time to go back to work, to how those in the community continue to step up. Our hope is to relieve some of the pressures we've all felt lately by showing you the best ways to respond as the country focuses on ways to revive. We will not forget what this outbreak has done, the kind of loss it has left us with.
He was the kindest person I knew, and not because he was my dad, but just because he was genuinely kind.
Before everything this crisis has taken from us, it has given us back a sense of gratitude, a reminder to be thankful for what matters.
Now it's Friday!
And eventually, when things come full circle, we might rebound to someplace better than we were before.
The 3-Degree Guarantee, only on Fox 47 News.
Woody's Oasis, your healthy alternative to fast food. Woody's has the best Mediterranean food in town. Stop and see Chuck and Delita. They'll make you feel like family. Their friendly, knowledgeable staff is always willing to help.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Do you want to do the homemade bread with it, or did you want to do the thin bread as the side?
They'll be sure to put a smile on your face. And as lifelong supporters of MSU athletics, you never know who might stop by. Eat Woody's and live longer.
Coulda, shoulda, Woody's.
Woody's Oasis on Trowbridge Road, right next to campus.
Anyone who's had our chicken knows it's plump and juicy. What they may not know is that it's also 100% natural.
All our chickens are certified, humanely raised, no antibiotics, on a high-quality diet of soy and grain.
Why are they called tenders?
They're called tenders because they come from the tenderloin of the breast, hand-trimmed just for colors. It's not a strip or a finger, it is the true tenderloin.
I'll put our chicken tenders up against anybody's.
That's like my Granny Franklin used to make. That's outstanding, Craig.
Welcome to Delicious.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. Time for our Law of the Jungle segment, brought to you by Woody's Oasis on Trowbridge Road, your healthy alternative to fast food. Eat Woody's and live longer. That's why I'm there every week. There you see the score by quarters for the Detroit Lions today, an 18-point win in Jacksonville. Darian Harris, the Lions look like a totally different team. They established another double-digit lead, but for the first time in 7 games when they have led by 10 or more, they held on to that lead. How are they able to stop Gardner Minshew and company on the road?
Well, they look like a totally different team today, playing with a lot of confidence. And, you know, to me, the thing is that they know how to put points on the board and have a lead. They just have struggled holding the lead. But the way to do that is running attack and time of possession. They were able to, win the time of possession battle by 11 minutes. Nobody particularly dominated in the turnover battle or the Lions didn't generate a bunch of sacks. But DeAndre Swift had a big game, going over 100 yards. And again, that time of possession, if you can keep the ball out of the opposing quarterback's hands, you have a good chance of winning the game.
Graham, DeAndre Swift, the Lions' second-round draft pick from Georgia, gave them explosion, gave them strength, gave them consistency. Do you see moving forward they're going to keep this three-headed running attack with Adrian Peterson and Kerryon Johnson and Swift, or is Swift ready to take the next step?
It's hard to play 3, and I've had a number of coaches tell me that. 2 running backs is I think Kerryon Johnson may be the odd man out, just watching what we've seen from the first few weeks here. Adrian Peterson still, I think, very productive. There's a certain he's just got something to him, right? It's a confidence, it's an air, it's a swagger, and he's still a powerful running back. But what you get in DeAndre Swift is just some boom. You get some oomph. You get a guy who gives you a playmaker that they haven't had in that position in a long time, and you can't ignore that. I think you've got to use him. You've absolutely got to use him. And I think it becomes a two-man show back there.
Graham, how good was it to see Swift have that kind of game after what happened to him, dropping that pass in the opener? It was a sure touchdown, and here he comes back, and he's a key player.
Yeah, I felt really good for him because in that opener, you don't want a guy like that to be sort of lionized in the first game and become part of the fabric of blowing leads that the Lions often do. Obviously, if he'd caught that pass, they win the game. It's a different start to the season. They're 3-2 right now. Everybody feels different, so he could have done something there. But there have been a lot of other things. There were a lot of other things about that particular game that led to that result, and I'm glad to see it hasn't gotten in his head or really led to a down rookie year.
Darian, I want to take a look at the Lions' schedule here. And does a 2-3 team get back to 500 next week against Atlanta? And what's your final record for the Fighting Patricians?
The Falcons kind of hit their stride a little bit today with Julio Jones finding the end zone a couple times. So they're obviously going to have to look at that, and their first-round pick, 3 overall, will kind of have his hands full there. So it's kind of hard to say whether they'll get the win next week, but I see 8-8, 9-7, another season like that.
Okay.
They know how to, again, put points on the board. They just have to figure out how to win. That's a learned trait, learning how to win football games. Maybe this one today kind of sends them in an upward trajectory.
If they could get to 9-7, that would be tripling last year's 3-12-1 season in terms of victories. Hard to fire a coach when he's 9-7. I guess they fired Jim Caldwell at 9-7.
Yeah, they did, and it is hard to fire a coach after that, even though they did do that. But to me, I see a team that can win football games. They just have to put it all together.
Graham Couch, taking a look at the day's first 11 games, what stood out to you? What impressed you overall?
Yeah, it's not the Lions. This is a game they should have won easily if they're going to be decent at all. And I do think their schedule sets up to give them a chance. It's Tampa Bay to me. That was a game they were a slight underdog. I didn't think they looked all that great last week, and they put one on a really good Green Bay football team, and that stood out. That was a statement win for them.
How surprised were you when Aaron Rodgers, who had a long streak without throwing an interception, threw 2 in the span of 3 passes, 1 a pick 6, another that was almost a pick 6, and he's like, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been somebody who's taken chances. And if it had happened against the Lions, I would have been stunned, because you just don't see that ever happen for the Lions against him. Yeah, it is surprising, because he had been playing at a level that really only a guy like Patrick Mahomes has been at lately, and he looked better than he had even most of last year. I thought he certainly had an edge to him. But, and it's just an off day. I'm not saying Green Bay's out of the picture here, but Tampa, there were a lot of questions about them. They needed this win more, and they got it.
A big win for Tennessee today, coming back against the Texans. A big week, actually, for the Titans. Look like they're going to be a team that could be in it all the way. And in the Ugly Bowl, Graham, we had the Giants over the Redskins. I guess somebody has to win a game like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, does anybody care about that game up here? If you're the Redskins, you've benched your young quarterback, right? So you're not even playing for this year anymore. There's nothing to watch on those two teams. You don't have Saquon Barkley on the Giants. Very little to get out of a season but a high draft pick.
All right, we'll be back in just a minute, and we'll have the big picture brought to you by Dean Transportation. We'll talk college football, take a look at the top 25 teams in action, and the new top 25 released this afternoon. We'll be right back. Woody's Oasis, your healthy alternative to fast food. Woody's has the best Mediterranean food in town. Stop and see Chuck and Delita. They'll make you feel like family. Their friendly, knowledgeable staff is always willing to help.
Hi, how are you doing today? Do you want to do the homemade bread with it, or did you want to do the thin bread as a side?
They'll be sure to put a smile on your face. And as lifelong supporters of MSU athletics, you never know who might stop by. Eat Woody's and live longer.
Coulda, shoulda, Woody's.
Woody's Oasis on Trowbridge Road, right next to campus.
A new day dawns and we greet it with gratitude, thankful for the heroes on the front lines taking big risks daily to keep us safe. We at Dean Transportation stand at the ready with them, supporting our communities in their time of need. We've been delivering food and medical supplies, volunteering our time, and boosting morale to keep spirits high. Our passengers may have temporarily changed, but our commitment to transporting your most precious cargo has never wavered. Dean Transportation, working together, delivering the good.
At Graf Chevrolet in Okemos, you'll always get a great deal on a huge selection of high-quality used cars and trucks. But you'll also get something else, peace of mind. Every Graf used vehicle purchase comes with up to 6 oil changes for the first 2 years of ownership. We'll also give you free tire rotation with every other oil change. Always a great selection of used vehicles starting from $1,000 and up. Check them out at grafokemus.com. Lower your cost of ownership with our Peace of Mind program, only at Graf Chevrolet in Okemos.
Jessica Alba and Gabrielle Union are LA's finest, Monday on Fox.
Illuminate your home with Capital Lighting of East Lansing. Our beautiful selection of fixtures will make your whole house shine. We have thousands of styles and finishes available, from modern looks to classic designs. Visit today at Capital Lighting of East Lansing, where bright ideas begin.
The Gremlin's telling me he wants to take this off. It's too damn high. He lost control. It's the Gremlin show. Do it. Oh my God! Mickey Rourke! Legendary actor, Mickey Rourke!
Do you relate to the Gremlin costume at all?
I liked it because I wanted a friendly, cuddly guy. You know, I didn't want it to be like, you know, whips and chains, you know?
Why do you want to come on and be a cuddly, soft creature?
Something different.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Something different than what?
Than me. Yeah.
Who is that? Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's time for The Big Picture, brought to you by Dean Transportation. Dean is hiring caring and dependable people as school bus drivers in many Michigan markets. Be a hero in your community and safely transport children to and from school with Dean. For more information and to apply, visit deantransportation.com/jobs. That's deantransportation.com/jobs. Here you see the Crimson Tide, and this is Mac Jones. Does he throw a pretty deep ball or what? That's a 90-yarder to Jalen Waddle. And Darian, I don't know how you stop the Alabama receivers. They've got 3 of them who could be first-round draft picks. Seems like they always have those guys at the skill positions. Najee Harris, no relation to you, right?
Nope.
Okay. He looks a little bit like Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, got a lot of those kinds of skills. Mac Jones, who's Tua? Don't miss him. And the receiving core they have with Smith and Mechie, and they look just like the guys last year they had with Judy and Ruggs. Is there a better offense in college football than the Crimson Tide?
Guess it remains to be seen. We'll see what happens when Big Ten ball kicks off this weekend. But that's the name of the college game, is recruiting right there. That's why we're pouring so much of an emphasis into it. That's why every program pours so much of an emphasis into it, because every single year you're going to have turnover at different positions. You're going to lose guys to the NFL or guys that were very good players for you, and you want to be able to fill those spots pretty quickly. You don't want to have a lot of wait time where you got to develop players. You want to reload, not rebuild. So that's just the name of the game in recruiting, and we see day in and day out in college football why it's so important.
And I think a lot of people said, well, they're not going to be as good without Tagovailoa, forgetting that Mac Jones had a big game against Auburn last year in the Iron Bowl and against Michigan in the Citrus Bowl.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting to me that people forget that you recruit, again, to reload, not to rebuild. And even though you lose great All-Americans, you usually have somebody coming behind that learned from the guy that was there before.
Graham, as good as Mac Jones has been with 3 straight 400-yard passing games, he is not the front runner for the Heisman Trophy or even first-team All-America status. That goes to Trevor Lawrence. Yesterday, 391 yards and 5 TDs just in the first half of that game for Alabama. How surprised would you be if our national championship game is not Alabama and Clemson?
Not entirely. The Big Ten, as Darian mentioned, hasn't started playing yet. Ohio State, I think, thinks they've got a squad this year that can compete up there. I'm curious to see what other Big Ten teams there are. I certainly think out of those 2 leagues, those are the best 2. We've seen enough of the Big 12 to know there's probably not a team this year that's going to challenge them. The Pac-12 lately hasn't had anybody, so I would be surprised there. But let's see what Big Ten football looks like. That said, I think at this point we've seen those 2 play a lot against each other in the championship and in the playoffs. And if I had to put money on it, it would be that.
If we do have that matchup, that'll be the 4th time in the 7 years of the college football playoff. Graham, what are the odds that we get 2 teams from one conference this year?
Yeah, I hate that idea. Well, here's the thing. I think they should have expanded the playoff this year. I think this is a year where it's very hard to evaluate because you don't have non-conference. You might have some team that plays 5 games because of games that are postponed. Very hard to evaluate, right? And so you're trying to get the best teams, but I think it's also important that you still get the teams that deserve to be there. And maybe the Big 12 is playing itself out, but you've got 2 leagues that haven't, Power 5 leagues that haven't begun play yet.
Right.
You've got, I don't think with 4 teams you're going to see a group of 5 team in there. But Georgia's the team. Like, I know they got blitz there at the end, but Georgia's been playing really well. That is the team that I look at and go,
could make a difference. They could have gotten Alabama look that way. Darian, taking a look at the top 25 action yesterday, what was the surprise or what really impressed you the most? What was the team of the week?
I guess the surprise would be Florida State over North Carolina. North Carolina was ranked 5, and Florida State was able to get them. Again, it's just an example of sometimes a team has it clicking for them, and when that happens, we know upsets can happen. So whether North Carolina was number 5, worthy of number 5 or not, again, that's the interesting part about the season because Big Ten play hasn't started yet.
We'll be right back. We'll take a long look at Michigan State and the Big Ten up next.
No matter what John James says,
his plans are clear to me.
And me.
And me.
Because we all have pre-existing conditions. Cancer.
Diabetes.
Kidney disease.
And John James supported a plan allowing insurance companies to discriminate against people with pre-existing conditions.
Like us.
I know John James wants to deny it.
But he can't hide his record from us.
On healthcare, John James is wrong for Michigan.
SMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
Whether your insurance need is for business, farm and agriculture, or protecting your home and auto, experience the benefit of a local agent who cares about you with the David Chapman Agency and Auto Owners Insurance. Visit davidchapmanagency.com.
So what are your thoughts? You're on mute. We can't hear you.
You're on mute.
You're on mute. You're muted.
Oh,
you're on mute.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Your voice, your vote matters. Fox 47 News.
Download the Fox 47 News app and stay connected everywhere you go.
The Ticket Machine is your local connection to concert, theater, and sporting event tickets nationwide. Our entertainment experts are ready to help you create a memorable experience, trusted by fans for more than 20 years. Whether you're looking for tickets for your corporate outing, family excursion, or vacation, we offer the best seats and the best prices. Grab a front row seat now on theticketmachine.com.
What's really important to me is being able to have a partner, and Dart Bank has been that for me. I'm Eric Nelson. I'm a managing partner here at the English Inn. I've worked with John Morris at Dart Bank to help put together multiple projects that have assisted us with growing our business and continuing to be successful.
A new day dawns and we greet it with gratitude, thankful for the heroes on the front lines taking big risks daily to keep us safe. We at Dean Transportation stand at the ready with them, supporting our communities in their time of need. We've been delivering food and medical supplies, volunteering our time, and boosting morale to keep spirits high. Our passengers may have temporarily changed, but our commitment to transporting your most precious cargo has never wavered. Dean Transportation, working together, delivering the good.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. Time for our Going Green segment, brought to you by Graf Chevrolet and Graf Nissan on West Grand River in Okemos. With 106 years in the automobile business, they'll take great care of you, as they have on all 7 of my leases and purchases. For a new or used vehicle, go green, go Graf.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Watts-Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game. Unbelievable.
Tom Crawford is not here tonight, so I know he's watching. Tom, 5 years ago yesterday, we were together in the press box. I had just congratulated you on Michigan's win, not looking forward to the drive home, and suddenly there's a book to be written. Gentlemen, what do you remember about those 10 unforgettable seconds and the minute immediately after it? Darian?
I mean, special moment, of course, and when I don't get tired of talking about. But for me, it's what college football is all about. And I was able to kind of echo that to our freshmen this week of what they're about to enter, because their career is about to kick off on Saturday. And I just, told them, like, it's real now. Like, it's here. Like, everything you dreamed of and hoped for and worked for is now here. And hopefully you have memories like that that'll last a lifetime. So for me now, again, in the role that I'm in, having gone through, those moments as well as many others, just being able to let, our players know that it is real and it is tangible, and it just get ready for a wild ride in your college career.
Graham Couch, I had a couple of basketball columns with clock incidents, 1986 and 1990, and I didn't go back and read those columns for a full year. How did you handle the aftermath of Jalen Watts-Jackson?
Not well. Those are tough rewrites, and the thing is too, at Michigan, it's one of the worst press setups. The press conference is like on the other side of the stadium. You're going against the grain with people leaving. It's just a nightmare to get over there, and to try to put what you just saw there into words quickly and coherently, and for an instant column, and before you can come back on it is is not easy. What I do remember about that team, it was one of many improbable wins, and that team just had a way about it. Like I think the Rutgers game, where they were all beat up on the offensive line, and Connor Cook probably had his best game, and they had some really big plays. R.J. Shelton with a great catch. And I remember, that Ohio State obviously without Cook, two backup. That was a team that played great complementary football, and the idea that if something wasn't working, if it needed a big play here or there, it found a way to win. And I don't know if I've ever covered a team in any sport that did that quite like that team, and I think that day probably epitomized it.
Darian, flashing back even further, back to 2013, that was a team coming off a 7-6 season and a bowl win, and a lot of questions. The quarterback was theoretically going to be Andrew Maxwell, and the starting running back, how about Riley Bulla at the beginning of the season? Now coming off a 7-6 season with a bowl win, and you've got Rocky Lombardi and Theo Day and Peyton Thorne, a more established running back in Elijah Collins. But for a Michigan State team that's picked for the second division in the Big Ten East, how could Mel Tucker's debut season be a pleasant surprise?
Just based on the way that he's gotten us ready for everything that's been thrown our way with the pandemic and civic engagement and the schedule changes, and there's a season and there's not a season and there's a season again, and obviously with all the protocols we have to follow and just thing after thing after thing that's been different that he's had to get us ready for, that calmness and the ability to practice neutral thinking as he talks about, and to understand like that don't get wrapped up into the illusion of choice that he talks about as well. There's only one way to do things, and it's the right way, and that's the way we're going to do it. That's the way that we're going to be successful as a team. So that's all to say that I believe that we will be successful as a team. It starts at the top with him, funnels down through the leadership with the players, and if it will be called a pleasant surprise, I think people will be happy with what they'll see.
Graham, let's take another look at that Michigan State schedule. You popped that back up there, Brandon. The 8 games we know of, now there's a crossover game that we're not sure who it will be, but of the 8 you see there, which games does Michigan State win?
By the way, it should have been Darian Harris, I think, at running back instead of Riley Bulla open that season. Maybe it's a different result against
Undefeated.
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But no, it's a really good question, because I think Indiana is a team that could surprise people and could be a difficult game. And I think there are a couple toss-ups. I think Iowa could be a similar football team. Northwestern's a game that could be winnable. I picked them to go 3-5 in those 8. But again, I don't really know what we're going to be looking at, and I don't know what we're going to be looking at with a lot of other teams. Maryland could always go winless or could be competitive. You never know with them, so very hard to tell.
And we've got some very interesting games in week 1. We have Ohio State and Nebraska. Nebraska complaining, hey, I don't get to play Ohio State and Michigan. Now they get to play them, and Penn State, they don't want to play those teams. And Michigan at Minnesota. That's going to be very interesting. That's ESPN College Game Day. We'll be right back. Woody's Oasis, your healthy alternative to fast food. Woody's has the best Mediterranean food in town. Stop and see Chuck and Delita. They'll make you feel like family. Their friendly, knowledgeable staff is always willing to help.
Hi, how are you doing today? Do you want to do the homemade bread with it, or did you want to do the thin bread as the side?
They'll be sure to put a smile on your face. And as lifelong supporters of MSU athletics, you never know who might stop by. Eat Woody's and live longer.
Coulda, shoulda, Woody's.
Woody's Oasis on Trowbridge Road, right next to campus.
At Graff Chevrolet in Okemos, you'll always get a great deal on a huge selection of high-quality used cars and trucks. But you'll also get something else, peace of mind. Every Graff used vehicle purchase comes with up to 6 oil changes for the first 2 years of ownership. We'll also give you free tire rotation with every other oil change. Always a great selection of used vehicles starting from $1,000 and up. Check them out at graffokemos.com. Lower your cost of ownership with our Peace of Mind program, only at Graff Chevrolet in Okemos.
A new day dawns and we greet it with gratitude, thankful for the heroes on the front lines taking big risks daily to keep us safe. We at Dean Transportation stand at the ready with them, supporting our communities in their time of need. We've been delivering food and medical supplies, volunteering our time, and boosting morale to keep spirits high. Our passengers may have temporarily changed, but our commitment to transporting your most precious cargo has never wavered. Dean Transportation, working together, delivering the good.
Kim Cattrall in Filthy Rich, all new Monday on Fox.
Michigan. Unless you're from here, some things are hard to get. Like auto insurance reform, AAA gets reform because we've called Michigan home for over 100 years. So we're making sure every Michigan driver gets the savings they deserve. Savings up to 50% or more off auto insurance based on PIP options and bundling. That's right, up to 50% or more for Michigan drivers only. Get it? Just call or click and get up to 50% or more off your auto insurance with AAA. Got it?
Can you name one thing Gary Peters has done for you? He wants us to lean into the Green New Deal, a socialist plan that would kill our jobs and send electric bills skyrocketing. Peters also backs a government-run healthcare plan that would slash hundreds of billions in funding for our hospitals and could force 44 Michigan hospitals to close. Healthcare cuts, hospital closures. Michigan can't afford Gary Peters. Senate Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's time for our Take It to the Bank segment, brought to you by Dart Bank, dedicated to meeting the needs of our banking community for more than 90 years, with 4 convenient locations in Mason, Holton South Lansing, Grand Ledge, and the expanded Home Loan Center in Frandor. That's Dart Bank for what matters most.
The runners will go. There they go. And a high fly ball to left. Back at the wall. It is gone. Will Smith, the biggest swing of his young career. And the Dodgers jump on top 4-2 here in the 6th.
Graham Couch, it was Will Smith the hitter versus Will Smith the pitcher. And that 3-run homer, the biggest swing of Will the hitter's career. I guess where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, no, I mean, and look, the Dodgers, who have traditionally been often the best team and you know, blown it in the postseason, have not performed up to their level. You know, seem to have found something here. And when they were down 0-2, I really didn't know if it was going to happen.
Darian, the Dodgers, the best team in baseball throughout this abbreviated regular season, 43-17. Now they've stretched this to a Game 7 in progress as we tape this show. Are the Dodgers your choice to win the World Series?
They are right now. Of course, we got to see what happens in Game 7, and by the time everyone watches this, I may look like an idiot. But they were my kind of preseason pick. Was looking forward to Dodgers Yankees. Didn't get that. It's almost like picking them because you think that eventually it's got to happen. Like in this time frame where they have all this talent, like it's got to happen eventually. They're probably the bettor's favorite every single year. But again, as Graham kind of said, they just can't quite figure it out in the postseason, and to even have this at 7 games, it's probably got a lot of people by surprise. But they would have to close the deal tonight, and I'm not sure the Braves will let them do that.
Graham, what about you? Who do you think is the best team left of the 3 right now?
Well, talent-wise, it's the Dodgers. I think the Braves have been better early in the postseason, certainly, and Tampa would be my pick, not just because they're the ones who are there, but I love the way the Devil Rays roster was built for this style of playoff. A little different when you get to 7 games, what they've gotten here. And I enjoy a team, like if you're going to have a year with a World Series champion where there's no fans in the stands, have it for a team that doesn't have any fans anyway. Like nobody loses anything this year. There would be they get 10,000 fans for regular season games anyway. So I'm hoping it's Tampa Bay.
Darian, the Tampa Bay Lightning won the Stanley Cup. Does Tampa Bay get 2 world champions within a month, raise a number 1 seed in the American League, and looking awful strong with that bullpen? Or it's also a chance that Los Angeles could get 2 championships because the Lakers have already delivered.
Yeah, it is possible. Again, my pick would be the Dodgers, giving 2 to L.A. And we saw what happened, obviously, last year with the Nationals, and the Mystics won and the Capitals won, shortly before that. So we see it's always fun to me, I think, when a city kind of wraps up a lot of championships at the same time. We've seen Boston do that pretty frequently. I would go to the East Coast, the West Coast, and look at Los Angeles as the city to get that. But again, they got to take care of business, right now in this game. And the way that the Rays are playing, definitely can't count them out either.
Graham, the Houston Astros, 29-31 in the regular season, and even the postseason ending just 37-36. But we know what happened with them before, and the disgrace and the humiliation after the cheating episode. How should we remember these Houston Astros, as cheaters or as a team that wouldn't stay beat and came back and really stretched it as far as the team could?
Yeah, I don't think anybody will remember their baseball from this year, and I don't think a lot of people are going to remember a lot of things about certain points of the season. I think we're going to remember them, though, this year as the luckiest team, because what they were about to endure if we had had fans in the stands each and every place they went was going to be brutal. I think psychologically it would have wore on them. They didn't have a great regular season as it was, but that was going to be a really tough deal, not just being thrown at, but the things that were going to be said at every dugout everywhere. And they really lucked out. This was a perfect year for them not to have to deal with any opposing fans.
Well, we might get some carryover on that locally, because if the Tigers do hire A.J. Hinch as a manager, if the Red Sox rehire Alex Cora, people haven't necessarily forgotten all of this yet. There may be some carryover to 2021, so see how all of that transpires. But looking forward to the World Series. We've had all these games with no breaks in between, 7 straight days. Darian, now we go back to a 2-3-2 setup. Who does that favor?
It's hard to say because there's no travel, so it's almost like it doesn't. Or excuse me, there is travel. There is travel, but there's just, you know, there's no fans. You don't have to deal with a lot of people. You don't have to deal with family necessarily coming to games. So I'm not really sure who it does favor, honestly.
I think it probably hurts the Rays a little bit because they had that bullpen. They didn't have to rest them. We'll be right back.
Open Thursday through Sunday. JXUnderworld.com.
A woman who was young had COVID-19. I remember her because she had a bracelet that had the names of her children. She asked me, "Doctor, am I going to be okay?" And I could not give her the answer that I wanted to give her. There's no excuse for why we don't have this under control at this point. Joe Biden listens to medical experts. He actually has a plan that does the things that we should have been doing many months ago. And Joe Biden is not going to let his ego get in the way of fighting the disease.
FFPAC's responsible for the content of this ad.
Open Thursday through Sunday. PsychoVision3D.com.
So, I got my start in officiating when a friend told me I should try it. At first, I just did basketball, and I got hooked. Before long, I added baseball, softball, football, and volleyball. I really enjoyed giving back to the game, working with kids, and working with my local association to recruit and train new officials. I would like to say to anybody that officiating is a great way to help kids and stay connected to the game. We always need new officials. There's help wanted, just listen.
A new day dawns and we greet it with gratitude, thankful for the heroes on the front lines taking big risks daily to keep us safe. We at Dean Transportation stand at the ready with them, supporting our communities in their time of need. We've been delivering food and medical supplies, volunteering our time, and boosting morale to keep spirits high. Our passengers may have temporarily changed, but our commitment to transporting your most precious cargo has never wavered. Dean Transportation, working together, delivering the good.
What's really important to me is being able to have a partner, and Dart Bank has been that for me. I'm Eric Nelson. I'm a managing partner here at the English Inn. I've worked with John Morris at Dart Bank to help put together multiple projects that have assisted us with growing our business and continuing to be successful.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. Time for our Tracking a Trophy segment, brought to you by the Ticket Machine at the corner of Mount Hope and Hagedorn. For the best in sports and entertainment ticketing whenever those events resume, go to theticketmachine.com.
Yeah.
Snap that thing.
Look at the camera.
No, don't look. You're not supposed to look at the camera. Quick feet, Marty. Play a song I know. Hey, why don't you do some stuff you can do in the game, huh? Told me Rogers up at NCAA, man. Right to you every time. I used to eat them too as a kid, and they get large right here. Bucket. Let's do it.
Hey, let's be consistent today, man.
Sir.
Don't gotta be perfect.
Sir.
Don't gotta be perfect. Just be consistent. It's not because we got to, it's because we get to. Get 2 on 3. Let's go.
Get to. Let's go.
Graham Couch, Tom Izzo tried his best to sign Joey Hauser 3 years ago, and he loves everything he's seen about him since his transfer from Marquette. What can Michigan State fans expect from number 20?
It's a good question. There's a lot of hype around him, and Tom Izzo is not shying away from that. And if anything, he's pushing it a little bit. I mean, I think he thinks he's got a guy they can play through a little bit, which is something they maybe haven't had at that position since a guy like Draymond Green, a guy who can obviously shoot it. And, you know, the passing comparisons to Magic is something I think Izzo does all the time, so I wouldn't take that too far. But if he's a big man who can see the floor and you can play through them, when you've got questions at the point guard and you don't exactly know what this team's going to look like, I think Hauser's a big part of their plans.
Darian, when you think about Joshua Lankford, here's a guy we never thought would still be in school here in year 5, and we heard him tell his teammates at the end of that video, it's not because we got to, it's because we get to. What does a mindset like that mean for the team and for a guy who's come that far as a leader?
Well, for him, I mean, understands how blessed he is to be in a position to continue to play and get an opportunity to play with all the injuries. So when I hear that statement, it's not because we got to, it's because we get to. He understands the privilege that it is to play at this level and the opportunity that they have to do something special year in and year out. You can't fake that type of leadership. You also can't duplicate it and replicate it. I mean, what he's going to bring to this team is it's unmatched, I think, really across the country in terms of his leadership ability, and that goes a long way, especially for a team that, as every team going into a new year, maybe has question marks, but the question marks aren't necessarily a bad thing. It's just, let's see how good we are. And part of that is the leadership that is Joshua Lankford.
Michigan State without Cassius Winston, without Xavier Tillman, but adding 2 guys who were pretty good in street clothes last year in Hauser and Lankford. Graham, taking a look at the Michigan State roster for 2020 and 21, you see all of the options that Tom Izzo has, but the players selected Lankford, Aaron Henry, and Foster Loyer as tri-captains. What should we expect from Foster Loyer this season?
Well, I don't know that you should expect anything, but I think this is a real big opportunity because, you know, as much as he's struggled, when you are behind Cassius Winston for a couple of years, the opportunities aren't that great, and there's obviously a disparity between the two. I think this is a team where you've got a freshman point guard, and then you've got another guy in Rocket Watts who, you know, I don't think is a natural at the position who may be trying to play it. So he's the experienced guy, knows the position, and if he can shoot, if he can get that shot back that, Jack, we've talked about this, what he was in high school, and he, you know, and I think he can play with Rocket Watts a little bit. I think he can have a role that's 15, 20 minutes a game, and I think that's a real possibility for them. But I think with him at this point in his career, it really is seeing is believing.
Yeah, I think Michigan State has so many different possibilities, ways Izzo can go. He can go small, he can go big, put a lot of different lineups out there. Might not be starting the same 5 guys. It could be a situational approach. Darian, switching to pro basketball, your favorite sport, I want to take a look at the recent NBA champions and the last 15 years. What stands out to you about that list?
You're going to see some similar teams up there, and you know, having the opponents up there. Obviously, the crossover is going to be that LeBron was a part of 10 of those, which is just unbelievable to think about. But that's the thing with basketball, especially pro basketball. You're usually going to get a lot of carryover year in and year out because teams are built to win championships in a small stretch of time, and that's what you're seeing. You know, the Heat had their run. The Warriors, of course, had theirs. The Lakers, even dating back to 9 and 10, got theirs with the last years of Kobe. The Spurs are always in there. So you're always going to see the same teams in there based on organization, but to me that doesn't take away from the game. It only amplifies it, honestly.
Are you sick of the GOAT discussion yet? Because you're going to get it a lot more coming down the road.
Yeah, I don't mind indulging in it, but also, like, enjoy LeBron while he's here, because when he's gone, you're going to miss him a lot.
Enjoy him on the court and enjoy him off the court for what he represents, and it's kind of refreshing to see someone stand up for what he believes, whether you agree with him or not. We'll be right back. High school's up next.
Bolton Diamondale Insurance Agency, along with Auto Owners Insurance, want to personally thank our first responders. Prevent further spread of COVID by following the recommended guidelines, and call your hometown team for all your insurance needs today.
Time to get your game on. Sports wagering is now open at the all-new Dacey Sportsbook and Tap House, only at Firekeepers.
Okay, ready? I have a new daytime show. All the verbs. I cannot wait.
Weekdays at 9 on Fox 47 and again at 6 on My 47.
A special Monday edition of NFL on Fox, NFL Network, and streaming on Prime Video.
What's really important to me is being able to have a partner, and Dart Bank has been that for me. I'm Eric Nelson. I'm a managing partner here at the English Inn. I've worked with John Morris at Dart Bank to help put together multiple projects that have assisted us with growing our business and continuing to be successful.
Anyone who's had our chicken knows it's plump and juicy. What they may not know is that it's also 100% natural.
All our chickens are certified, humanely raised, no antibiotics, on a high-quality diet of soy and grain.
Why are they called tenders?
They're called tenders because they come from the tenderloin of the breast, hand-trimmed just for colors. It's not a strip or a finger, it is the true tenderloin.
I'll put our chicken tenders up against anybody's.
That's like my Granny Franklin used to make. That's outstanding, Craig.
Welcome to Delicious.
At Graf Chevrolet in Okemos, you'll always get a great deal on a huge selection of high-quality used cars and trucks. But you'll also get something else, peace of mind. Every Graf used vehicle purchase comes with up to 6 oil changes for the first 2 years of ownership. We'll also give you a free tire rotation with every other oil change. Always a great selection of used vehicles starting from $1,000 and up. Check them out at grafokemos.com. Lower your cost of ownership with our Peace of Mind program, only at Graf Chevrolet in Okemos.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. Time for our Lansing's Best segment, brought to you by the Greater Lansing Sports Authority. The GLSA has brought thousands of athletes and teams to Mid-Michigan for hundreds of tournaments and special events, and we'll do that again in 2021, showing just what Mid-Michigan can be. Big game out at Mason Friday night. The Bulldogs hosting Lansing Catholic, and Mason off to a perfect start. A very enthusiastic crowd, socially distanced for the most part, out there in the stands. And here you see Jackson Lockwood picking up a ball. The Mason defense was terrific, but also had some big strike capability through the air here. And also on the ground, had some big plays, some explosive plays, pulled away, and never thought we would see a score of 45-7. Couple of late scores there for Lansing Catholic, and Gary Houghton's team prevailed over the Cougars 45-21, holding Lansing Catholic to one score for 3.5 quarters, and setting up a league championship matchup, Darian, with undefeated Williamston in Williamston Friday night. These teams on a collision course.
Yeah, there's nothing like high school football and high school rivalries. And since I've been out here learning about just how good Michigan high school football has been great. Being a part of it last year, of course, coaching at Wall Lake Western, and of course being in the Lansing area, and just learning how good the football is here. It's been a joy to see. Tawan Jones, my roommate from college, is coaching at Grosse Pointe North, so we get to hear about his games every Friday. There's nothing like high school ball. It's as pure as it gets, and I'm just glad that it's being done safely and soundly, and that there's been no issues so far. And that's a testament again to, of course, the players, their families, and the coaching staffs making it happen. So we get great games like that are coming up pretty soon.
No games for the Lansing School District, Graham, but you know a little bit about that, and they're out there practicing, working hard.
Yeah, I mean, I feel awful for those kids. And I know they're making tough decisions. I think what they're doing in Lansing, they have with safety and what's best for those kids in mind. And there are a lot of things to consider. But you hate it for those guys because they see everybody else playing, and it is cool to see some of the camaraderie they're still able to get through practicing and through other things they're doing.
Pewamo Westphalia and Fowler, a tremendous series. Each team had won 27 times, and PW prevailed, Graham, 30-7. But the Eagles, the first team to score against PW this year. Pewamo Westphalia now has a combined count of 260-7.
Yeah, they are the quintessential small school program in our area. The one we talk about, just fan support, community embracing, and just year after year. And I know Ithaca's up there too, and if you count them in our area, but PW is sort of, for anybody who's covered small school football and in the cornfields in their life, it's a really cool experience. And I think PW exemplifies that more than anybody.
Taking a look at the scores, some of the best scores from the area this week. Darian, maybe the #1 performance in the state, the Holt Rams. After a 63-0 loss to East Lansing, they stunned second-ranked Portage Northern 26-0. How does a turnaround like that happen?
Belief in your system, going back, of course, to the drawing board, having a short memory, all those cliches in football. But again, it comes from the coaching staff. They got to get into their players to put what happened last week behind you, move forward to next week, and have a great bounce back, and that's what they were able to do.
And congratulations to Bill Ferracco and the East Lansing Trojans. Graham, it isn't often you see the Grand Ledge Comets beaten by 35 points, but East Lansing did that, and that's the same team that shocked River Rouge. East Lansing's going to be a tough out in the playoffs en route to the state championship possibility. We'll be right back with our Cool and Smooth segment.
At Graff Chevrolet in Okemos, you'll always get a great deal on a huge selection of high-quality used cars and trucks. But you'll also get something else: peace of mind. Every Graff used vehicle purchase comes with up to 6 oil changes for the first 2 years of ownership. We'll also give you free tire rotation with every other oil change. Always a great selection of used vehicles starting from $1,000 and up. Check them out at graffokemus.com. Lower your cost of ownership with our Peace of Mind program, only at Graff Chevrolet in Okemos.
What's really important to me is being able to have a partner, and Dart Bank has been that for me. I'm Eric Nelson. I'm a managing partner here at the English Inn. I've worked with John Morris at Dart Bank to help put together multiple projects that have assisted us with growing our business and continuing to be successful.
You're up. There's an old saying, you can never have too many officials. The age of the average official is 52 and getting older all the time. We're constantly recruiting new people, younger people to join us. After you register with the MHSAA, look on the website to find an officials association near you. They'll put you in a position to succeed as an official. We all learned a lot from high school sports, and officiating is a great way to give back to the game. There's help wanted, just whistle.
Cast your votes for the Top of the Town Awards at Fox47News.com today.
Skin Boss Med Spa wants you to stay up late with your friends.
I thought you were going to be gone all day.
Watch Friends weeknights at midnight on Fox 47.
Hi, I'm Deb Hart.
And I'm Bob Hoffman.
Have you checked out Fox 47 Morning News?
Every weekday morning while Julie and Claire get you caught up on news and weather, we catch up with some of the most interesting people in mid-Michigan on the Morning Blend.
It's your chance to find out what's happening in your own backyard and have a little fun along the way.
Local news, local weather, local people.
Weekdays, 7 to 9 a.m.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. Time for our Cool and Smooth segment, brought to you by 4 great Culver's locations in mid-Michigan: Okemos North and South, North Lansing, and West Lansing. Since 1984, Culver's has been delighting guests one meal at a time with scrumptious butter burgers and premium frozen custard. Swing through any Culver's drive-thru and grab your fresh favorites. That's Culver's. Welcome to delicious.
So it's very important that we tell our friends, our family members, get out and vote early. You can do that now. Voting is easier than it's ever been before. So we got to take advantage of it so we don't have to stand in those long lines in November.
You see Irvin Magic Johnson back at Lansing Everett yesterday, a Get Out the Vote rally. He was here in Detroit and in Lansing endorsing the candidates of his choice, Joe Biden and his friend Kamala Harris. But basically it was about getting out the vote, and we hope however you vote, you get a chance to do that. That is your obligation, not just your right. Team 368, who has been as cool and smooth as a Culver's mint explosion this week? What about a play of the week, Darian?
Play of the week for me, going the baseball route with Mookie Betts, Golden Glove Award winner. He had an unbelievable catch last game in Game 6 in the 5th inning to close the 5th inning out. Leap and grab at the wall, and actually had one the day before, a sweep and grab off the ground. He's an unbelievable outfielder for his size and stature. I think people just forget how great of an athlete he actually is, and just how great of an athlete or athletes baseball players are. I think that gets lost also because they're not doing so many things that are as acrobatic as some other sports. But they're great athletes, and those were 2 tremendous catches by a Golden Glove Award winner.
And Mookie Betts has the perfect initials for a baseball player, MLB.
Yeah.
Graham, what do you have for us for a team of the week?
It's got to be the Tennessee Titans, right? They win 2 games. The first is an underdog against a really good Buffalo team who they looked vastly superior to, and they did it with more than a week of no practice. Like, this was every coach's nightmare, because it's the idea. I mean, Nick Saban, Tom Izzo, all these people think you got to grind it away in practice. They just did it. They looked so much better than the team that practiced. There's an argument to come in fresh, to work in the preseason and show up on Sundays or Tuesdays, and then to come back a few days later, 5 days later, and win again. I think with Tennessee, this was a team that we saw in the postseason pull an upset against the Ravens last year, and everybody thought it was sort of a fluke. I think this is a real deal team that has a shot this year.
Sounds good. It's hard to argue with that, right? Player of the week. First, I want to give a shout out to Don Waldron. And he's a guy who used to come to all of our radio remotes, never missed a television show, passed away last night, heart attack at age 68, and he will be sorely missed. Talked about Trevor Lawrence and the 391 yards and the 5 touchdowns in the first half. That doesn't even get him into our final 2 this week. How about Derrick Henry? First, he has that stiff arm on Josh Norman where he launched him last Tuesday. And today, 94-yard touchdown run, 6'3", 247 pounds, and he was timed at 21.6 miles an hour. Unbelievable. And how about Randy Arozarena? Here's a guy who was a pinch runner basically for the Cardinals last year. Gets coronavirus, quarantine, decides he's going to try to set a world record for push-ups every day, comes back built totally differently, has 7 home runs in the postseason, 1 away from the all-time postseason record for Major League Baseball, and he's got a World Series to play yet. And you talk about a guy who also, in the postseason, first rookie ever to be an ALCS or NLCS MVP, Randy Arozarena. It sounds like the Central Michigan basketball facility, but much more than that. Want to thank our panel for Team 368, Darian Harris, getting ready for the start of Michigan State's football season. He is the Director of Player Engagement for Mel Tucker. And Graham Couch, He is Sports and More columnist for the Lansing State Journal, and you can catch him weekdays along with Jason Nick. That is 1 to 3 with Couch and the Rube, just ahead of the Drive with Jack. We'll be back next Sunday, everyone. Have a great week.